Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that, well, let's be honest, it carries a ton of cultural baggage. We're talking about Tantra. Now, before you start thinking this is going to be some wild, esoteric journey filled with complex rituals and whispered secrets, let me stop you right there. When most of us hear that word, our minds jump to the most extreme, sensationalized ideas imaginable. And that's mostly because of how it's portrayed in movies or magazine articles, right? Well, our goal today is to totally strip away all those exaggerated cliches and reveal the beautifully grounded, practical reality of what this practice actually is. Get ready to completely change how you view this topic, because the truth is far more accessible and, frankly, a whole lot more useful than the myths. Hey, here's exactly what you're going to take away from this explainer. Stick around till the end, because we're going to show you a 3-minute reflection that will help you directly in your everyday life. Seriously, it's a highly practical, actionable tool to reduce stress, ground your nervous system, and build clear boundaries right in the middle of a chaotic day. Oh, and before we jump in, don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss out on these deep dives. Part 1, the wrong image in our heads. I want to start by totally validating wherever your mind just went. If you clicked on this explainer and immediately pictured, highly sexualized rituals, weird symbols, or practices that require you to fly off to some remote ashram, I want you to know that is completely normal. We all do it. The word Tantra is just so heavily loaded and hijacked in our modern culture, but it's rarely ever clearly defined. So we end up with this image that feels entirely disconnected from our actual daily lives. Okay, let's dive into this. Why do we even have these confusing images in the first place? Well, it basically comes down to 3 main culprits: reduction, exoticism, and overpromising. I mean, think about how media and pop culture actually work. They take a vast, nuanced, historically complex practice, and they completely reduce it to its most sensational aspect because, well, that's what sells. Then they exoticize it. They dress it up to make it look mystical and foreign, almost like an exclusive secret club you need an invitation for. And honestly, worse than all of that, they overpromise. They package it up and sell it as this magic solution to all of your life's deepest problems, which just creates completely unrealistic expectations. Part 2, the biggest cliches debunked. Because of all that cultural noise, we're going to peacefully and logically deconstruct these misconceptions one by one. It's time to take the pressure off, clear the air, and look at the actual facts. We're replacing the fantasy with reality. So here's the absolute biggest myth right out of the gate, that Tantra is only sexuality. The reality, it's actually about awareness and presence. Now, while this practice certainly can involve intimacy and connection with a partner much later down the line, its true foundation is so much simpler and honestly so much more profound. It's about your breath. It's about deep body awareness. It's about simply being present with yourself without needing a distraction. If you try to jump straight to the exciting stuff and skip this quiet, fundamental self-awareness, you're missing the entire point. You're just turning a deep philosophical practice into another superficial technique. Just listen to this for a second. Tantra does not begin where it gets exciting. Tantra begins where you stop ignoring yourself. Wow. Let that sink in. This is fundamentally about coming back home to your own body. It's not about escaping your reality or performing a certain way for someone else's approval. I mean, how often in a single day do we completely ignore our own physical needs? How often do we push past exhaustion, ignore a tight jaw, or just flat out forget to take a deep breath? The practice begins the exact moment you stop doing that. Then we have all the aesthetic cliches. The myth is that it's strange and exotic. The reality, it's simple and everyday. I'm here to reassure you that you absolutely do not need to go out and buy expensive incense, wear special flowing clothes, or learn some complicated ancient ritual. You can start right now, right in your own room, sitting on a completely normal chair. You can even do it while you're waiting in line for your morning coffee. It's not a foreign theater production, it's an internal state of being. You see, Tantra is not a magic button. So the crucial point here is, if you're looking for an overnight cure for deep trauma, chronic stress, or long-standing relationship issues, this isn't it. Anyone selling it to you as a quick fix is completely misleading you. It's not a magical hack. It's a patient, gradual, and sometimes challenging practice of self-observation. It requires time, trust, and the willingness to simply notice what's happening within you as life unfolds, without trying to force some dramatic breakthrough. Which brings us to a really dangerous myth: boundless openness. A lot of people equate spiritual growth with having zero boundaries. They think they need to be constantly open, universally soft, and just relentlessly available to everyone around them. Honestly, it can easily lead to a kind of spiritual people-pleasing. But the reality is that you need clear boundaries. True connection, whether that's connecting deeply with yourself or with someone else, actually requires an incredibly strong sense of personal limits. If you don't feel your own edges, you completely lose contact with who you are. In fact, without boundaries, there is no genuine openness. Think about the logic of that statement for a moment. A clear, grounded, and honest no is exactly what makes a genuine yes possible. Setting limits doesn't destroy a connection, it protects it. It creates a safe, stable container where real, authentic presence can actually happen, because you finally feel secure enough to let your guard down without feeling overwhelmed. And here's a huge relief for a lot of us. The myth is that it's only for couples. The reality? It starts with yourself. Let's just completely remove the pressure right now for anyone who is single or even for anyone in a relationship who just wants their own independent practice. The very first person you need to connect with is yourself. Learning to regulate your own breathing, navigating your own emotions, and building profound emotional honesty internally, that forms the absolute healthiest basis for literally any interaction you have in the world. You absolutely do not need a partner to start this journey. Part 3. Presence over perfection. Now that we've cleared away the clutter, let's pivot from deconstruction to reconstruction. This is the core foundational concept you actually need to focus on moving forward. This replaces all the myths, the pressure, and the performance. So what exactly do we mean by presence? It's defined as the simple willingness not to run away from the breath, the body, or the current moment. Notice the word simple there. It is not about achieving some perfect levitating meditative state where your mind is entirely blank. It isn't about forcing an intense euphoric emotion. Presence is simply noticing what is actually there right now. And hey, if what's there is just quietness or boredom or that lingering sense of stress from a long workday, that is perfectly fine. The goal is gentle observation, not flawless perfection.
Profundity arises when something simple is made truly conscious. You really don't need complicated, convoluted concepts to experience depth in your life. We often look for the biggest, loudest experiences to feel alive, right? But real depth comes from applying sincere, honest awareness to the most basic human functions, like the simple, rhythmic act of inhaling and exhaling. That's where the real magic happens. It's hidden right there in plain sight during the quiet, ordinary moments of our days.
Part 4, the 3-minute everyday practice. Listen closely here, because this is exactly what we promised at the start of the explainer. We are taking this philosophy directly into your daily routine. This is not some highly choreographed ritual. This is a highly practical, incredibly effective tool designed to actively reduce stress and help you build those crucial boundaries directly in your everyday life. This is the exact lifeline you can lean on when your schedule is packed and your mind is racing. Let's walk through this 3-minute reflection step by step to show just how easily you can implement it. Step 1, for the very first minute, just feel your breath. Sit back, drop your shoulders, and simply notice if your breathing is fast, slow, deep, or shallow. Don't try to fix it, just feel it. Step 2, moving into minute 2. Ask yourself internally, what do I honestly believe about Tantra? What are my expectations when I hear that word? And finally, step 3, the 3rd minute. Ask yourself, where does this image actually come from? Did I get it from a movie, from the media, from a rumor? Just observe your own mind without judging it. And this brilliantly illustrates how you can do this at your office desk, on the subway, or right before dinner to immediately ground yourself. Part 5, your new approach. Honestly, look at how far we've come in just a few minutes of untangling this topic. We started with confused, pressure-filled expectations laden with cultural myths, and we've arrived at a new, entirely pressure-free understanding. You don't have to perform, you don't have to achieve a mystical state, you just have to be willing to be exactly where you are. Tantra begins on the mat, but it proves itself in everyday life. This philosophy connects directly to the reality of being a human in the modern world. True progress isn't measured by what happens when you're meditating perfectly in a silent, beautifully lit room. Actually, scratch that. True progress is seen in how you manage to take a deep breath when your boss sends a stressful email. It's seen in how you speak up for your personal boundaries when you feel insecure during a normal Tuesday afternoon. That is the real practice taking root in your real life. So, I'm going to leave you with this final provocative question. What would be your first, simple step to more presence today? You don't need to overhaul your entire life. I highly encourage you to try that 3-minute reflection tonight before bed. Just see what comes up for you when you let yourself breathe. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this beautifully grounded perspective in today's explainer. Stay present, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next one.